Hello everybody and welcome to another one of our training videos. Through these videos we've been sharing with you the leadership skills that help you to improve, to grow and to become a better leader. In this particular one we're going to be talking about presentation. Presentation. How do you present and how do you make your presentations even more effective? If you're one of those who either doesn't like presenting or doesn't present particularly well, or you haven't secured business, or indeed you've lost business, then this is very much for you. If you like any of these videos, then please like, share, comment, and also subscribe to this video channel so at least you know what's coming up in the future. My name is Chris Igwe. I have over 35 years experience, having lived and worked in 5 different countries, creating, growing and leading incredibly successful teams across Europe, Middle East and Africa. Presentation, so important. Now this could be a presentation which you're doing to a small group. It could be just your team, it could be the board, it could be to financial institutions, it could be to clients existing or new, or it could even be on stage. It could be a full conference, maybe a professional industry or trade industry presentation that you're doing. Very different scenarios, but the key thing here is presentation. In another video we talk about public speaking, which is linked to but different from this. This is about presentation. And I'm going to give you 6 strategies for you to think about to help you improve your presentation skills. And I've laid them out here. So the first is setting the scene. It's really important that before you begin a presentation, you set the scene. What do I mean by that? Well, in many situations, you walk on, you get on stage, or you get in front of the group, and your first slide comes up. And maybe people see, oh, there's 50 slides. And that's when they go, oh, 50 slides, I don't have the time, I'm not interested. And maybe that's not what you wanted to share. So before they see, you can have the first slide up, which is your background, could be your name, your picture, whatever, but then you want to set the scene. What I mean by setting the scene is what I put here, for example, it's the prime real estate. And by that I mean, I'm in retail, I'm a retail advisor, so I've advised many global brands that are household names over the years. And in retail, we talk about the first few meters when someone walks into a store. So whether it's a Zara or an H&M, you'll see the latest merchandise, product, fashion that they're laying out for the new season or new collection. It'll be in the front of the store. Or if you're an athletic footwear store like Nike or Foot Locker, then when you first walk into the store, you'll see either on the walls or in the front their key, latest, best, greatest items. Generally the most high priced, of course. That's what we call prime real estate. You don't put all your great stuff at the back of the store where people have to go right the way through to go and find, the greatest pair of sneakers that have just come out. That's a waste of time, money. People won't walk in either. They want to see from the shop window or from outside in the street. That's what I call prime real estate. And here it's about setting the scene. Setting the scene means you want to tell people what they can expect, why you are there doing this presentation. What is it that they need to know? And linked to that is the storytelling. So often we charge into presentations without not only setting the scene, but telling a little story. You want to break the ice, you want to engage the other party. Staying with retail as an example, I could say I'm pitching to a new retailer or brand who I want as a client. And I might use an example of a previous client. So it could be Build-A-Bear Workshop that I brought into France. Build-A-Bear Workshop, the American toy brand, building bears. Actually, that's my bear over there. That's one of my bears from Build-A-Bear Workshop, great bear. And they were struggling to get into France. I was approached, and the company that had been helping them to enter into France and open stores had been trying for quite a few years and hadn't been successful. I was brought in I was then able to make it happen in a short period of time. I could use that as a little short intro story to the brand that I'm pitching to, that I want their business from. That's how you set the scene. Even though you think they might know why they're there, but you need to tell them. So storytelling is a great icebreaker. It really sets the scene. What is your story that you want to communicate before you start the presentation? And then layout. Layout and flow. Layout, I'm not talking about the presentation slides themselves. I mean, like I said, if there are 50 pages, you want to say to people, oh, we're going to go through a number of slides. I'm going to show you what the problem was, how we addressed it, how we solved it. Then there are various other slides that are just pictures and images, so people then know they're not going to sit there and go through 50 slides. If you have 50 slides and you're presenting 50 slides, I suggest that's a problem, because people don't want to read slides, they want to hear what you're saying. But if you say to them, maybe 30 of these are just pictures and images that you can see going through. Architects do it really well. Architects have lots of slides, they go through very quickly, you get the feeling and the idea. So those are the first ones, is the flow, how the layout is going to work so that they understand and don't get bogged down with what the expectation might be. At the beginning as well, you need to talk about the outcome. What is the outcome that they can expect? Once again, you go back to the beginning, you've started to layer these in, but what you want, which is really important, people need to be reminded why they are there. So you might say, what I would like at the end of this, maybe we'll have a Q&A session, we'll have a discussion, or the results is, I'd like your buy-in. You're selling this to the board, to the shareholders, to your bank. I'd like your buy-in for X. I'd like your commitment for Y. You're doing some research, or you've done some research you want to share with them. That research is the foundation for something else. I will share this with you, and after that, we want to proceed in this, that, or the other direction. What is the outcome you want from the presentation? Because otherwise it becomes not only boring, but people don't know what you're expecting because you would have gone through all these slides without clarifying. The content and style. Now this is really important. Let's start with style. Style is about how you present. What is your body language? How are you standing? Where are you standing? Or are you sitting to do the presentation? I would normally recommend that you stand. You stand because A, the oxygen flows better, you're in more control, you're able to use props if you need to, so maybe you can stand like this. I wouldn't recommend it. But maybe initially you need some sort of support in order to say what you're saying, or you may want to lean on the board and do so. Find some props, but I would advise against it. But beginning, you may need to do that. So style is not only physical, it's also the tonation and tonality. You want to go up and down and emphasize specific areas, pause, make sure they get what you're trying to say, and then continue. So there's style, tonality, words you use, expression, but it's also about content. Content means, once again, if you've got these 50 slides, is 50 what you need? Can you and should you do it in 10 slides? So you dwell on a few slides for longer. Equally, in terms of content, it's about how it's presented. The worst thing, which is partly style and is partly content, the worst thing is where people put a lot of information on a slide and then read the slide. How many of you have experienced that? I've seen so many. I just think to myself, they should just email it to me. I'll read it with a glass of wine or whatever. I don't need anybody to read the slides to me. What is it that you want to be saying through each slide? Literally, less is more. Less information, more thought and explanation, and then they go, aha, I get it, I see it. And especially with examples are always important. So colors, type, font, and all those kind of things, that would be part of content, as well as how much information you provide. Then the final one is own it. By own it, I mean own the presentation. Once again, you're in a boardroom or you're presenting to your team. That's a little easier. So let's just stay with the boardroom or a board of directors or clients. You want to, through the process, you've explained to them how this presentation is going to go, what the format is, what they can expect, what the anchor point is and what you want from them, but you own that time. Whether you've given half an hour, or 2 hours to the presentation, you want to make sure that even if there is a senior or more senior person in the room, they do not hijack your presentation. If the CEO is in the room or whoever, you may want to have a little conversation beforehand and just set the scene with him or her to make sure that they don't go off the reservation. But if they do, you can still say, excuse me, Mr., Mrs., Miss, whatever, great question, great point. Let me come back to that if you don't mind. Let me make a note and I'll come back and answer that question. You don't want them to derail it unless you authorize them during the presentation to ask questions whenever they want. If you do that, you need to know that you may have difficulty bringing them back on. It's best to take questions and answers later on, at the end, or somewhere in between. Ask them to hold that thought with their mind, noting it down, and you'll come back to it. You have to control the presentation from start to finish. If you don't do that, you're in for a very rough ride. So if this video has spoken to you, just a reminder, we've been talking about the different aspects of 6 strategies. The last 3 here: outcome, content, and style. Owning it. It's all about sharing what I have learned and the experience I've had over these many years. So hopefully this has spoken to you, in which case please like, comment, share, click subscribe, and join us for future videos which we'll be sharing coming up soon on training in leadership. Thank you.